one of our building got burned down. On the hotel.
Yes, the one in DC or Alberta. I mean, her
Right.
strip plaza or something.
Mhm.
Yeah, but it was still under insurance. Oh no, that's Vladimir too, I think.
Right.
He
They're
had
a
a
part of the
fire.
group. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's learning a lot about that and on that thing. They're really trying to screw him, but he's handling it well by the sounds of it.
Now, I say a group of people. There are a group of about 10 investors in the group. So Vladimir is one of them. Teresa is also there. So is a bunch of other people, including Keith Martin. And I
Okay.
think they're kind of, yeah. So it's very unfortunate that had happened, but we have to deal with it, what we have to deal with it. So it's
Because you're breaking up a little bit. I wonder if your internet or it's mine. I'm on the Starlink.
could be both.
Like,
Most probably.
yeah,
We'll just check
maybe
as we go
because you have a
along.
lot of people. Mhm.
Not really. It doesn't make no difference on people we have, though.
Mm. Yeah, it's getting a little garbled, but I understand you still, so it's good
That's
enough.
yeah.
Can you see me at all, by the way?
No, this is a different system altogether.
Okay.
So
All right.
the system does not allow certain things to happen, just to protect and also keep everything focused. We have tried to do everything within 2 hours time.
Gotcha.
But it is, yeah. Uh,
Excellent.
all right. Well, good talking to you.
Are you going to do some more live training?
I did this Saturday. I was in Brampton. I just
That
did
totally was garbled. I missed it. You did something when recently?
this last Saturday. Yes.
Oh wow.
Well, that's good. It was about PowerShell. It went very well. What had about 40
Yeah.
people, maybe 40 to 50 people in the room. It's all packed. It was nice. I did it for a real estate company. I've known them for a very long time. It was at 410 and Steels.
Oh, that's perfect for me too. I'm in Concord right now, but I have my mother in a nursing home in Brampton. So I sold my income property in Brampton.
Yes, I just thought you bought
I
something
bought
off
the
it.
RV.
Yes,
Yeah.
just thought you're gonna go across Canada.
Yeah, well, that's not going to start until the fall, the late fall. I'm talking with my girlfriend in Quebec, and she's hopefully going to help me on this real estate aspect of things. She's more of the artsy fartsy and can do the design on all the rehab inside, do all that. I'm just more, well, you can do it all, but I mean more on purchasing and lift and all that, the burrs, what they call the burrs and all that. Yeah, so that's
I'm
where
gonna
I
put
want to
you on hold,
focus.
my friend.
I really want to become an angel investor.
Yeah. I'm gonna put you on mute, by the way. We're gonna just start the meeting right now.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Start now. Okay, it's 1 more minute. Great. Tonight is gonna be a different meeting, and we have pretty hot topics tonight to discuss. And we shall see, how does it go? Summer is the most beautiful time. And the good thing tonight is we have people. Want to welcome Nancy Parson from Newfoundland, Mr. Johor from Nova Scotia, a few people from Vancouver, a couple of people from Alberta, somebody from Manitoba, no, Brandon, Manitoba. Excellent. And we have all kind of people here tonight. And let's see. We're going to have a lot of fun tonight. Yes, we are going to have a lot of fun tonight. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome tonight. Welcome to Professional Real Estate Investor Group of Canada's meeting. We have been conducting this meeting since April 2005. We never missed even a single one so far. Neither we have intention to miss any of them in the future. It's all about you. It's all about offering a platform to educate Canadian investors what's happening, or should be aware of it. Tonight, we're going to have a couple of people, a lot of experts. They will be sharing their information with you, their incredible amount of knowledge. And not only that, we're going to be introducing something new stuff to you and what exactly is happening in the market and where the opportunities lies. And let's begin it now. So we'll wrap up. Okay, good. So let's start with network. Is you multiply, the more people you deal, the more people you know, it becomes your network, by the way. The more people you know. Now, if you have a deal, you want to pitch your deal to a bunch of investors, you're welcome to do so by simply sending us it up front. Hey, this is the deal. I want to have it, whether you're raising capital, whether you want to share the deal with somebody else, whatever it is, we'll be more than happy to accommodate you as long as you are a member of our club and you are on annual membership or something like that. So this is something happening in the market, and the market is bounced back, but we have some sort of not a setback, but again, people were not expecting the interest rate to go up, but it went up slightly though. So that is creating a little bit, uncertainty in the market. To enlighten us, I'm going to introduce you or one of the top-notch realtor and a friend and a sister, and only 10 times international bestseller author, Randy Goodman. Randy, are you there, my friend? Randy?
I am. Thank you.
It's all yours today.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you for having me, Navtaj. It's always a pleasure to be here with everybody. And I want to thank you for the presentation the other day, the Power of Sale presentation. It was absolutely incredible. I have tons of notes. Yeah, it was great. So condo prices right now have been going down a bit, about 3% on average, but sales are up like 39%. They're a little bit higher in the 905s than they are in the 416s, but they're still pretty good in the 416s as well. And townhouses and detached homes are up in sales, but the average price is about the same. Semis didn't go up quite as high. They went up a little bit, but not quite as much. Month over month in 2023, the houses continue to rise in sales and the average price since January. So it's been incrementally going up. And so we all know the rates went up another 0.25% last week. So people on a variable mortgage will be having an impact on their monthly payments. 0.25% isn't huge, but when you start adding up all the quarters and halves that they've been incrementing, it tends to be quite an impact. So what we're going to start to see, and we're already seeing, are more properties coming on to the market from people that can't afford their monthly mortgage anymore because they were in a variable mortgage and didn't lock into a fixed mortgage at a low rate. Year over year, sales are up 25%. New listings are down 19%. And the average price is slightly down, just like 1%. So that's my report on the market right now. I do have this is short and sweet, but I do have some properties available off market. One is a Keeley condo apartment. It's a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom, which is right across the street from Downsview Park. It's overlooking the water. They put a little bit of a pond or lake or whatever you'd like to call it there, but it's going to be gorgeous. There's also a Keeley townhouse in the same complex, a 2-story townhouse, different from the big 3-story ones that are all over the place. So if you don't like all those stairs, and then there's also a condo in the Queensway area at Kipling, 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom in the Taylor buildings. There's also a gorgeous house or cottage on the canal off Burnt River in the Kawarthas. Gorgeous. They actually Airbnb it. So for 2/3 of the year, which is how much it's rented out, it makes about 120K there. It has docks, kayaks, bikes, jet skis, a bunkhouse with electricity. Sorry, it's gorgeous. It could potentially have 6 bedrooms and it has 4 bathrooms. There is also a listed property in Thornhill. It's completely renovated, gutted top to bottom. That's available. And then I also have another off market in Petrolia, which is about 30 minutes east of Sarnia. There's 2 plazas there for sale. There's an LCBO, a Domino's, doctors, veterinarian. So great plaza area, good staple in that town. That's for sale as well. So if you want information on anything that I've mentioned, including the market or what's happening, please reach out to me. Love to chat with you. Thank you.
Randy. Randy's phone number is 647-284-7601 or randygoodman.com. Randy's going to be hanging around here. We're going to have a panel of experts, and we're going to discuss something which is pretty touchy, and it could be very interesting for all of you tonight. It's important that you make a lot of notes tonight, though. Next person, I'd also like to bring it in, our attorney, but she's gonna be joining us a little later. In the meantime, let's talk about something very critical. People don't want to talk about it, are the taxes. Where does your money go? What percentage of your money go towards your taxes? And what happened recently is our the flipping taxes, which has been there from day one for us, for majority of the investors, didn't offend us, did not make any difference. But there's something else pop out, and I'd like to talk about tonight. One of the biggest concern, majority of us feel that we're paying way too much taxes, tax on top of taxes. Is there a way to do it legally, morally, and ethically, and pay a lot less? So to address all those things, how the thing goes, separating the dogs from the sleeping giants, we're gonna bring one of the most qualified tax advisor tonight to share with you what happened when people want to inherit a cottage. Cottage is a recreational property, you can say that, and it does trigger capital gain. And there is something we can do. And some of you may not ever heard about it, but I'm going to ask all of you a special request. Please take your cell phone and take a picture of the slide. Something I want to talk about, something you should know about, called Sprinkling Cottage Trust. That would be brand new for majority of you. For us to explain, I'd like to bring our expert, Jerry Hogenhout. He's the gentleman, you have heard a lot about him. He's the only one Canadian who licensed in 5 different separated regulated investment marketplaces in Canada. whether it's stock bonds, whether it's a mutual fund, private equity, mortgages, insurance, and also he happened to be also a fellow investor who invests in multi-units. So, Jerry, are you there, my friend? Jerry?
Yeah, I'm here now.
Okay, it's all yours, my friend.
Okay, I don't know if I can start my video, but maybe that's a good thing. That's all right. Okay.
You may or may not be able to share video.
No, that's
Oh,
fine. That's
okay.
okay. I can just talk. So again, thank you, Nav, for inviting me to speak tonight. Great topic. The trust is something that I call it a tool. We as accountants, we have tools, and as Nav just mentioned earlier, we're trying to reduce our tax bill, and we need to do it ethically, morally, legally. But there's a lot of tools that we have. A trust is certainly one of the tools, and interesting that he Nav mentions the sprinkling cottage trust, because it is something that we certainly use in our toolkit, and I'm glad to explain it. And let me just start by kind of backing up a bit. Let's talk trusts 101. What is a trust? How do you use them? So in our world, as accountants, we have three entities, three legal entities. We have people, we have corporations, and we have trusts. And for those three entities, we need to file tax returns. When we think of those three entities, think of it this way. A person can own property. A corporation can own property. A trust cannot own property. It does not own property. You will not see a trust on the land registry system. A trust can hold property in trust for somebody or something or a corporation. Okay, so again, when we look at these three entities out there, and it applies to everybody, I'll repeat myself, people can own property, corporations can own property, trusts do not own property, but they hold property in trust for either a person or a corporation. So why do we use a trust? Well, there's tax reasons, and one of the biggies is for estate planning, creditor proofing. Okay, the basics of a trust is this. There's always three components to a trust. There is the trustee, and in simple terms, that is the person that drives the bus. That's the person operating the trust. That's the person making all the decisions in the trust. There is the settlor. That's the second component to a trust. The settlor is the person or entity that puts the asset into the trust. Okay, so once again, it's either a person that puts an asset into a trust or a corporation that puts an asset into a trust, and that is the settlor. And the third component is a beneficiary or beneficiaries. Those are the people that the assets are being held for. Okay, so those are the three things, the three components to a trust. Now, Nav has mentioned the sprinkling cottage trust. Let's go one step at a time. Cottage, it's not uncommon for people to put a cottage in trust. Okay, why do we do that? Well, we do it to a creditor proof, okay, because once an asset is in a trust, really nobody can get at it. Okay, creditors can't get at it. People that you might owe money to, nobody can get at it. So that's one good reason. Trusts bypass estates. Okay, let me touch on that a little bit. So we all have, we're all alive, we have assets, and when we pass away, our assets go through our estate to our beneficiaries. If in our life we put those assets into a trust, it bypasses our estate. Okay, so that's not a bad thing. There's reasons why we would want to do that. So it bypasses the estate, and then basically, so we save a lot of probate fees, we save a lot of tax at the end of our life. The one problem is when we move assets into a trust, we have to do it at fair market value. And that's really one of the deterrents that prevents a lot of people from using trust. If you have an asset, again, every asset that we own, all of us own, it has an adjusted cost base and it has a fair market value. Okay, so when we transact on a non-arm's length basis, when we deal with our family members, when we deal with our own corporation, when we deal with a trust, we have to transact at fair market value. So if we bought a property for $100,000 and it's worth $1 million today, our adjusted cost base is 100,000, our fair market value is $1 million. Moving that asset into a trust can create a tax problem. Okay. So, but anyway, let's talk about the sprinkling cottage trust. So if we did, there's many reasons to use a trust. There's some reasons that we wouldn't use them, but let's stick to the topic. If we move a cottage into a trust, a sprinkling trust gives the trustee, the person who's operating the trust, it gives them flexibility. Okay, it allows them to distribute income to individual beneficiaries. So what I mean by that is if you set up a trust, you have 3 children, everybody gets an equal share of the trust. If it's a sprinkling cottage trust, then if I'm the trustee, I can say, oh, well, it makes more sense for person 1 to get all of the income. Or person, or split it up, maybe not a third, 50%, 25. So really what a sprinkling cottage trust allows us to do is to have more discretion than a traditional trust. Now, Nav, on the slide here, it also says paying tax up to 21 years. When we put assets into a trust, again, it bypasses our estate. So if we took an asset, put it into a trust, then we pass away, that asset does not, we don't deal with that asset in our estate because that asset is in a trust. The trust keeps on going. Okay, a new beneficiary, a new trustee would be appointed if the trustee was the one who died. Here's the kicker. Every 21 years, a trust must have a deemed disposition of all of its assets. Okay, so for tax purposes, when we use trusts, we know that in 21 years, we have to sell that asset on paper and pay the applicable tax. So that's a deterrent. But it's a tax planning tool too. I don't want to get into it, but there's many ways that we can avoid that tax after the 21 years. But just to stay on tune with the trust basics, trust would have to dispose of their assets every 21 years, and we have to tax plan around that. Another area where we use trusts a lot is if we want to use the capital gains exemption. Keeping it simple, if we sell the share of a qualifying corporation, we have up to almost $1 million to sell that share tax-free. Okay, so keeping the example simple, if we had a company that was worth $5 million and we had 5 beneficiaries, we would have $5 million of tax-free dollars available in that trust. So I don't want to overcomplicate things, but those are situations where we would utilize a trust where we want to what's called expand on that capital gains exemption. But again, sticking to the topic, sprinkling cottage trust really means that we're giving the trustee more discretion than the trust document itself. So again, it applies to certain situations. It's not always applicable. So like most things, when we think about doing whatever we're doing, there's reasons to do it, reasons not to do it. I can't emphasize that the most important thing is to get the right information, work with your advisor, work with Nav, myself. We can advise if it makes sense or not. It really needs to be cost effective. We always want the benefit to exceed the cost of whatever you're doing. So anyway, Nav, that's just a quick touching on the sprinkling cottage trust issue. I don't know if there's any questions on that.
Yes, there's a little more to it. Just let me throw something at you. I got a few calls this month, or last month, I shall say, where people are inheriting the property and they still have to pay capital gains. And would you like to elaborate a little bit on it? Why, even though they are inheriting property, they're still subject to capital gain?
Yeah, technically, so anything that we receive from, so an inheritance comes from an estate. Somebody has passed away, somebody has left something to somebody. The person that receives that asset technically doesn't pay the tax. The tax is paid at the estate level. Okay, so basically, in general terms, anybody who receives anything from an inheritance receives it at the fair market value. And again, every asset has an adjusted cost base and a fair market value. The difference between the adjusted cost base and the fair market value would have been dealt with in the estate, and it would have been tax paid on the persons who's passed on their final tax return. So the person receiving the asset, 99.9% of the time receives it without paying the tax. So someone might have mentioned that, but where there's a lot of confusion is somebody gets an asset and there's tax to be paid. They think they're paying the tax. Not really. They're actually paying the tax for the final tax return of the person who has passed. So that's probably what they're talking about there.
Right. Okay, let me ask a simple question so that all the other investors can understand it. Uncle Joe bought a cottage for $100,000. Now he passed away, and the current market value is $1.1 million. So altogether, whoever is inheriting it understand that Uncle Joe have to pay capital gain on 1 million. Can you just elaborate on that, please?
Yeah, so again, as Nav has pointed out, and as I've mentioned just previously, every asset has an adjusted cost base and a fair market value. So Nav's example, the adjusted cost base was $100,000. They purchased it years ago. I'm not going to get into the, have there been improvements? Has there been an increase in the adjusted cost base? We'll keep it simple. They bought it many years ago for $100,000. Today it's worth 1.1 million, and the person passes away, and it goes through the estate. We have a $1 million capital gain. Okay, capital gains, half of a capital gain is tax-free. The other half is taxable. So with $1 million capital gain, 500,000 is tax-free. Nobody pays tax on that. $500,000 is taxable. It will go on the final death tax return of the person who has passed away. So we have to literally put $500,000 on that tax return, and that's what we do without any other creative accounting, just to keep it simple. And we would pay at least $250,000 on that transaction. So there's the problem. We've got a property, it's worth 1.1 million. Somebody has passed away. They want that property to go to their beneficiaries. And there I come saying, hey, somebody owes $250,000 to CRA. And that's real. That happens all the time. So in a lot of cases, they have to sell the cottage in order to pay the tax. So it's always has problems.
Here's the deal I had, just for yourself and others. Somebody inherited the property, more or less is the same numbers. They bought the property for 100,000. Current value is 1.1. They owe 250,000 for taxes, and they don't have the money. It's just it's a grandson, and he's in his 30s. And his question is, hey, can you help me out? As if I lend you money, would you be able to make the mortgage payments? I can't afford it. I just thought it'd be free and clear. Now he got himself in a bit of a situation, and now it's kind of funny. One conversation lead me to a bunch of deals where a bunch of people are approaching me. Hey, listen, can you bail us out? We don't have the money, but we have to pay the CRA. So again, ladies and gentlemen, this open up opportunities for you. A lot of Canadians who are inheriting the second house or cottage or recreational properties, they are subject to capital gain, not on themselves, on the uncle or the grandparent whoever passed away. That will be their last return. Those who want to have more information, want to get any questions about your accounting, especially real estate or taxes, please contact Jerry Hogenhout. Again, CanadianInvestmentServices.ca is the website. Jerry, you're gonna hang in there, my friend. We can have a conversation, about experts about different things. And I want to say thank you very much to you, my friend.
Thank you, Nav. I'm going to stick around as I always do. I love hearing what you got to say. So any
Thank
further
you, sir.
questions,
Appreciate
just reach out. Thank you, Nav.
Thank you, sir. So what is happening with interest rates? Why we are feeling the interest rates have gone the highest? If you look at the 1990, if you look at the 1994, why my voice is echoing? What happened in 2022? What happened 97, 1999, 2002? Did we ever have that increment in rates? Now, this is something we should look into it. Now, this is what is happening right now. All of a sudden, interest rates have gone up again to 4.75% in last 9 times. For us to enlighten everything about it, we are going to bring our guest speaker and expert, a brother from another mother, David Grossman. Are you there?
Hi, Navtesh. How are you today?
Good, excellent, my friend. Thank you for joining us.
Excellent. Thanks for having me. So yes, the first thing I have to say, Navtesh, is last time we talked, I said that I didn't think rates were going to go up any further, and you said that you thought they were, and you were right, and I was wrong.
There's no such things, my friend. We all do things, but we all have different opinions, correct?
I figured I would pay it forward because a couple weeks ago, my wife said to me the exact same thing. She said, I'm wrong and you're right. And that, when somebody says that to you, it's very nice to be right on all accounts. So I wanted to pay it forward. Look, it's the reports vary, and what you can see is happening right now is proof, and we've seen it time and again, that nobody knows what is really going to happen. Bank of Canada said they were on a pause and that they were satisfied that rates were high enough, at least for time being. You had pointed out that yes, some of the employment numbers or unemployment was not high enough, and the economy was still ticking along. So, depending on what report you hear and you listen to, you get different information. And the bottom line is that these authorities and the economists, they change their mind often too, like the wind when the wind blows. So we saw that inflation was coming down, but now they're saying they are not happy because it's not coming down fast enough. So not only did we see an increase in 1/4 point in the overnight rate, but they're talking about a couple more increases. So it's crazy, it's disappointing. But you know what I figure, Navtaj? I figure, like, in life, there's things that you can control and there's things that you cannot control. So, it's you gotta go with the flow, and you gotta figure out, all right, where's my opportunity here, right? The saying, right? When you have lemons, you make lemonade, right?
Excellent. Right.
So I think there's opportunities in mortgage lending at this point in time. And I wanted to just talk a little bit about mortgage lending. I mean, I know that for sure there's going to be foreclosures, there's going to be power sales, and there will be opportunities for your investors. But if there's anybody out there who wants to, who would prefer to invest passively, there are opportunities, and this is something I've never really talked about, I don't think, is just a little bit about mortgage investing and what that's all about. So there's a couple of benchmark things that you should consider when you're mortgage investing. And the first thing is called loan to value. And what the loan to value is, it means you take the total amount of debt on a property. If it's a first mortgage, second mortgage, you add it all together and you look at it as a percentage of the house value. And a kind of a benchmark figure that many lenders look at is 65% or 75%. And sure, we get requests, and there's some people who are prepared to lend at 80 or even 85% or higher, and charging very high rates. But, you know, the kind of a standard thing is looking at 65 or 75% loan to value. That is a key factor when you're looking at the potential of lending on a property. The other key things, not as important if you're a private lender, but the things that you should know about is income and credit. And obviously, if somebody's coming to you for a private mortgage, they're not going to be squeaky clean on all counts. Loan to value, that is non-negotiable. You've got to know that there's sufficient equity in the property and the real estate is good quality, marketable real estate in an area where it's going to sell if you had to take action and sell the property. Income is something that can go up and down. And that is an area where you want to know, does the borrower have the capacity to service the debt? But even if they don't in the short term, they may have an exit strategy. They may have a plan to complete a renovation or to, sell a property and then pay off a mortgage. So you want to know, what is the exit strategy? And you can look at income and you can look in credit. Credit is one thing that I think as a private lender, that's an area where you can be the most flexible, because if you know somebody has income to service the debt and there's equity in a property, credit is one area where you can be flexible. If somebody has bruised credit, as long as you know that there's no one who will have priority, that the person who's borrowing doesn't have any judgments against them or anything like that, and you will have priority, then, like, if you're registering a new mortgage, then credit is something that you can be somewhat flexible. So, and the other thing I want to mention is that RRSP, that mortgage investing is RRSP eligible. So if you have RRSPs that you don't like the way they're performing these days, and they could be with banks and other institutions, and you want to consider alternatives, then mortgage investing is something that you might want to look at. And people can give me a call and talk about that if they want more information.
2 questions for you.
Sure.
Are 40-year mortgages are really risky? 40-year amortization?
Well, 40-year amortizations, I mean, lenders are extending amortizations all over the place in order to help people. I mean, as a kind of a standard institutional loan, 40 years is longer than the normal. I just got a commitment today, actually, from a private lender on a second mortgage where they offered a 40-year amortization. Often on private loans, lenders will go interest only. In order to keep the payments as low as possible, they'll go interest only because it's meant as a short-term thing, right? So you're usually not too concerned about how quickly you can pay off the mortgage if it's a private loan, and if it's at a high rate, you just want to make it manageable until you can pay it off. But mostly right now, still with banks and other prime lenders and even B lenders, typically you're looking at 25 or 30-year amortizations usually, but there are some longer amortizations around. And if it's going to help your cash flow, you got to do whatever you can to improve that cash flow if you're in a tight spot. So consider all options for sure.
Thank you, David. Thank you. Appreciate it. I want you to hang in there. We're going to go to panel experts for a few minutes. Thank you, David. Appreciate that, my friend. Now, before we go any further, because of the time factor tonight, this is a typical scenario happening in Canada. So this couple bought a piece of property in London, Ontario, combined salary $140,000. They take home about $8,000. These are the break-ins. Part of the monthly mortgage payments are utility, property tax, insurance. and they have not too much money left. Now, if the interest rate keep going up, even by 0.25%, they have not much of a choice. But eventually, their payment was $4,800 to begin with. Now it's $4,400 a month, or it may gonna go slightly higher. The incoming money is limited. And this is the unfortunate part of it. A lot of Canadians facing it. So are the investors. So here is something else tonight we want to talk tonight is Toronto condo market in a moment of reckoning. 30% of Toronto condo owners who are investors are losing money every month. And the loss gonna keep growing because the interest rates are going up, whether they are variable mortgages or whether they're going to renew the fixed mortgage. The rates were 2%. Now it's totally different ballgame altogether. So to assist us, I'm going to ask a bunch of our panels. We're gonna have a Jyoti Chaudhary. She's the she is the lawyer, real estate lawyer. We also have a Dave Grossman. We're gonna have a Jerry Hogenhout, Randy Goodman, myself, and we might have one more panelist to talk about it. So I'm gonna ask Jyoti if she can give us any feedback on Toronto condo market. If she want to start it, or Jerry, you wanna take a quick start it, or Randy, you wanna take a quick start at it?
They can start it, Jerry or Randy,
Sure.
and I can follow.
Sure. Randy, you wanna take a quick?
Yeah, well, like I mentioned before, well, listen, we've been seeing a huge impact on the condos. They stopped developing. They put everything on hold. Construction costs, interest rates going up. There used to be like 50,000 condos being built in a season, and this year there's only 22,000. Plus, you've got all kinds of immigration coming in as well. People need housing. There's definitely a shortage of housing. Condos can easily fill that gap, but so we've definitely seen a huge impact on the condo market, where there's not a lot of building going. We're starting to see more coming up, but not a lot of building. The prices have come down on the condos, and the developers were not adjusting their pricing. So people were more inclined, actually, because we deal a lot with pre-constructions, and it was really easy to convert people into a resale because it just made sense. The developers are asking too much money, and people can go and get a much more affordable resale home and relatively new, as opposed to going after the pre-construction. So it's starting to get better. It's starting to come back up, but yeah, there was a huge hit on the condo market. So that's my 2 cents.
Randy, let me rephrase the question. Maybe you can address it a little differently. In your practice, how many investors are trying to unload the condo because they got a negative cash flow?
Oh my goodness, a lot. And there's a lot of them doing it on assignment as well. And they're not moving. The assignments aren't selling. So they're taking a huge hit, and they're risking not being able to close on their property. Now, thank goodness the people I'm dealing with would be able to close if they don't sell on assignment, but it's taking a lot longer to sell on assignment right now than it was a couple years ago. So there's a huge impact, and a lot of the people can't or won't be. Actually, I know somebody who wasn't able to close. Thank God they only had, $5,000 down. That's all they lost by not being able to close on the property. But, it's prevalent. People have purchased at a high rate, at a high price. And now with the interest rates keep going up, they're looking at these properties and going, I'm not going to be able to afford the monthly, whether it's an investor or someone intending to move in. So it's a huge issue right now.
I'd like to bring David Grossman. What do you do when an investor comes in? You say, I'm putting 25, 30, or 40% down, but I can still have negative cash flow, even I rent it out. What is the take of the lender, whether it's a bank or a private lender or a mortgage investment corporation? David, you have to unmute yourself, my friend.
Yeah, sorry. Prime lenders, they want to see normally that the property is going to debt service. Alternative lenders, B lenders and C lenders will work with the borrower. Like B lenders will, if they see that the borrower has the capacity to service the debt because they have sufficient income from other sources, then they will lend still. And C lenders are more flexible. But one area that I'm very interested in now at this time is this whole, the Bill 23 and this idea that the Ford government is pushing, where they want more density, because new construction, whether it's a condo or a house, it's very expensive to build new. There's too many taxes, too many hurdles, and it takes too long. Materials are overpriced and hard to come by. Whereas you have many people who have maybe basements that aren't finished yet. Maybe they have big properties where they could add a second dwelling. And it's more cost effective to add density to an existing property. If you already own the land, or if you already have the houses built and all you need to do is finish a basement, now you can create an additional unit. So this is an area where I'm especially interested in right now, because I think it can help a lot of people. And especially with mortgage rates going up and up, this is one way where if you can add additional income to your property, where you can help to offset. So, you got to look at potential, and you got to look for creative ways to add those units. I know there's people around who are making triplexes out of a bungalow, converting the main floor into 2 units, and a basement is a 3rd unit. And I've heard, and I'm not totally up to speed on it, but I heard that you can actually turn a single family home into a 4-plex now in Toronto, that's being encouraged. So
You're right.
that's where I think that the best opportunities lie.
So what do we do with the Toronto condo owners who already have a negative cash flow, and they most probably like to dump as quickly as they can, because they cannot continue holding it negative cash flow, and negative cash flow gonna be increasing as the interest rate goes up?
Yeah, well, listen, it depends on your individual situation, right? Like, now's not the best time to be borrowing money unless you can earn a very high return on your money. So, if you're an investor and you're flush with a lot of cash, then maybe you need to pay down the mortgages. If you're not flush and you find that you're being really burdened by the fact that you have this negative cash flow, then you may have to take action. I mean, the good news is at least the market didn't crash, but you never want to be selling low and buying high, right? So if you can withstand it, I mean, it's hopefully not more than another year or so. So if you can tolerate a negative cash flow for some period of time, and then maybe by next year rates will come down, so go with short-term money, and then things should improve later, right? But it's never good if you have to sell because you're in distress. That's never a good time to sell. But if you are in distress, then you need to take action. If it means you have to sell, even if it's at a bit of a loss, It's better than messing up your credit and, not sleeping at night.
Jerry, how about us, sir? What is your,
Yeah, I'd like to jump in. Thanks, Nav. A couple of interesting comments by David and Randy. And it's interesting, the bank rate, as David said, he didn't think it'd go up. It did go up. And a lot of that is driven, inflation is, they're trying to tackle inflation, obviously. So why did the bank rates still keep going up? Well, because people are still spending. And a lot of it is related to COVID, where people were locked up, so they kept their money in the bank, and all of a sudden everything opens up. So people are still spending money, and so that's one reason. And it kind of correlates to what Randy was saying. Randy was saying that there's still a demand. There's still immigration coming into this country, probably more than ever. So while housing prices are getting beat up, there is still a demand. So it's a very, very interesting time that we're going through. Another thought process would be to, like, I know when I do deals, and most people do deals, you either bring in partners, either as joint ventures, as an equity partner, where they're putting in money, and there's not a monthly interest rate going back, but they're participating in the overall equity in the deal, or you bring in a lender that you have to pay interest to every month. I think with these crazy times that are going on, I think people should look a little more towards joint venturing together, belonging to these networks, and working together, because even if you're in a negative cash flow, if that is spread out among people, you have 10 investors, and that's spread out a little more, so it's not destroying one person that has to eat this negativity. That's, to me, a better business model in these uncertain times, because I think we all agree that sooner or later the interest rates come down, sooner or later the housing market gets better. And especially for those of us, because when we invest in real estate, in my world, we're either looking at cash flows, or we're looking at multi-unit buildings, or we're looking for the quick flip, the appreciation, try to make the quick dollar. When we look at more cash flow investing, one thing with all this uncertainty is I'm feeling really sorry for these tenants, because sooner or later the economics of losing money on a house, the high interest rates, that's going to filter into even higher rental prices. So eventually the thing swings around again, where we as real estate investors will see the benefit of even higher rental prices. And all of a sudden our math works again once those interest rates get down. So I think it's I don't know when that all turns around. As David said, sometimes you do bail out, to avoid wrecking your credit. Lots of us have made money in the market for us to maybe take a hit on something. I'm not suggesting it, but you got to look at the overall picture instead of just focusing on one deal. Another thing I would like to bring to this conversation, certainly from a tax angle, when we have rental losses on paper, it does help us on our tax returns. Those losses are applied against other income. So there are benefits, tax benefits, even though economically, our real estate models may not be working the way we want them to work, but we do at least get some tax benefit for those losses. But I know in my world, I focus more on joint venture deals than continually paying somebody interest for forever. So that might be just something that people might want to think about, which is all the more reason to join these clubs and network with people, get like-minded people together, because eventually it comes back. Eventually the prices go back. With the condo market, I've always kind of, even before all this craziness happened, I've always been worried about the condo fees. They just go up and up and up and up and up and up. So I always thought at some point those condo fees are actually going to become a material item in the, cash flow analysis that we do as real estate investors. And I'm seeing it now. Some of these condo fees are just really hindering the value of these condos, especially with the mismanaged condo where, I've seen somewhere condo fees just for a normal condo are over $2,000 a month. And, there's one, they're not going down, they're going up. So we're living in very interesting times, which is all the more need to network together and get everybody's opinion and work together. So,
All right, let's talk to Jyoti Chaudhary, our real estate lawyer. Jyoti?
Hi, Nav. Regarding the Toronto condo market, there are a couple of observations that I would like to make. The first one is that the rental market is very strong and the rents have gone up substantially, especially in Toronto and the GTA area. So that would be beneficial to the investors. But the second point is at the same time, the interest rates, the mortgage rates are also going up. So that would, not be a desirable situation for investors, but it depends on each individual situation of each investor, whether he's carrying the condo at, at a decent, what should I say, it's balancing itself or not. I don't know if that is the case because it depends on the price that the investor has bought the condo for. If he has bought it like 3 years ago, he's got it now. He may have bought it cheaper, and then the balance would be much better than if he's bought it recently and he's trying to rent it out and the mortgage rates are really high. Then it's not going to work out too well. So it's the Toronto condo market is in a situation of flux, so to say. So one doesn't know what's going to happen. Rents are obviously going to stay high. Mortgage rates are going to be high for the moment. Whether there's another increase or not is difficult to say, but maybe that is also something that one can not look forward to, but what one can expect. So if investors start offloading their condos, it's going to result maybe in lower prices. And if you're a buyer who does not work downtown, buying a condo elsewhere, say in Mississauga or Burlington, may be a better situation because firstly, you are going to pay lower land transfer tax. It's in Toronto, it's double. So that is one thing to look at. If you're not working downtown, investing in a condo downtown does not make sense for the purpose of living. And that is another factor that one has to consider in respect to Toronto's condo market.
Well, thank you, Jyoti. Appreciate that. My question for you, one more question. What happened when somebody just mentioned, I'm not too sure who it was, that they put a deposit of $5,000 or $10,000 and now they're refusing to close the deal with the developer or the builder. So what will happen in that case?
If they're refusing to close, they are going to lose the deposit, whatever deposit it is, of 5,000 or 10,000. But the builder can also go after them for other damages. So there is a likelihood of their being sued by the builder. It is not a good scenario for them to not close. They're better off selling on assignment or closing it and then selling it, whichever is the more convenient way to go.
So breach of contract is not the good thing to do, correct?
Yes, that is right. So that is never a good thing to do.
All right. So now I'm going to take a final wording from, again, Randy. Your final few words as a caution, as advice, what to do in this scenario when the Toronto condo owners who are losing money every month want to unload it. Do you think it's a good time to just jump out of the ship and heck with it? This is not investment for me.
Well, if somebody has to get out, they have to get out. So they need to connect with somebody, a realtor or someone who specializes in assignment sales or pre-construction sales or resales, period, that has a good network to tap into, like us here in the investment
Yes.
world, to see who can help them out. You know, it might be minor help, it might be major help, it might be getting them out completely. There are options, but also connecting with mortgage brokers, like talk to David or talk to someone who's an expert in this field who may have some creative options for you, but also have connections, because it's all about who you know and who you're connected to when it comes to getting help in this market. So I would definitely suggest reaching out to the right people, to myself, to David, to Jerry. You never know, to Jody and anybody, Navtaj, who may have connections to help you through this, challenge. And maybe you don't have to lose a property, or maybe you will, and you can get the proper support doing it. So I always suggest surrounding yourself with the right people, approaching the right people, so that you can get the help that you need. And maybe they can't help you directly, but they may know the person who can. So, don't think, oh, that person can't help me. No, reach out to them, tell them what your challenge is, and they may know the right person to help you with. So definitely do everything possible and reach out to whoever you can to get the help and support that you need.
Thanks, Randy. Same question for David Grossman. What would you suggest to those condo owners who have a negative cash flow? Should they be getting out of this market?
No, well, I mean, again, it depends on your situation. So I would say that the negative cash flow, look, in my opinion, Toronto condos have not been the best investment from a cash flow perspective for a long time, right? I mean, the prices have gone up, so you made money that way. But from a cash flow point of view, they've never been wonderful. So now they're just worse, I think. So I would say that if you can hang on, because it's if your cash flow's out of whack just because of the high interest rates, I mean that's going to turn around eventually. I don't know if it's a year or more or less, but personally, I'm not a lover of condo investing because there's a lot of expenses associated with it, maintenance fees, and you usually only have one unit, right? And you're totally dependent on one tenant. So I would rather see a smaller town investment with 2 or 3 units. If you can add units, I think if cash flow is important to you, and that is a good thing to have, positive cash flow, but it's not the only thing, right? Appreciation is also a factor, and all these new immigrants, they do wind up in most of them land in Toronto to start with. So if you can handle the cash flow, the negative cash flow situation, then consider weathering the storm. If you have an opportunity to invest in something where you think you can get a better lift on your money, or if you're under pressure because the cash flow is having an impact on your quality of life and causing stress in your life, then you got to get out of it.
Excellent. Thank you, David. Jerry Hogarth, what would you recommend to investors who are in this sinking ship with a negative cash flow?
Yeah, and there's a lot of them. So again, once again, everybody's making some really valid points. I tend to, and listen, I deal with clients too from a tax perspective that are having a problem. I think, as everybody has touched, it's everybody's situation is different. It depends on their circumstance. I mean, I've got clients that are losing money every month, but it's okay because they've got a business or another business over there, and we're using those tax losses to offset the income they earn elsewhere. David made a good point. If it's causing you stress and sleepless nights, I mean, that's not worth anything. There's nothing that's worth that. So, in those situations, I think I would bail out and take the hit. And again, it also depends, we're all providing our opinions here, and people that listen to us, they need to accumulate all those opinions and make a decision for themselves. They need to figure out where the markets are going, how it impacts their own finances. I think as a general rule of thumb, if you can hang on, I would hang on. I think we all agree that sooner or later things get better. So if you can hang on, if it doesn't completely stress you out, then I would suggest hanging on. And it might take time to find the right deal, even if you want to exit. A distress sale, we all know that's not going to end well for the person who is investing. So I think it's really important to analyze every situation on its own. If somebody really is feeling the effects stress-wise, financially, you got to get out, you got to lick your wounds, whatever you've lost. Hopefully you have the ability to recover it in a different way, be it a real estate investment or just through your job. And that's what happens in these uncertain times. And I think the lessons that we do learn, before all this market craziness happened, people were buying, buying assignments, flipping houses. Whatever you did, you made money not that long ago. And, the deck of cards came crashing in. So today, as it always should be, we have to really focus on real estate fundamentals. We always should have. And that we got carried away years ago because everybody was making money. Whatever you touch turned to gold. It didn't matter about the real estate fundamentals. And today, here we are licking our wounds because those of us that made investments without the real estate fundamentals in place are finding ourselves in this spot. But it's also, this stuff happens. This is a hiccup. It hurts. This hiccup hurts people, certain people more than others, but you can't win all of the time. You learn a whole lot through a losing experience, and that just makes you smarter for the next venture. So as we all go through these struggles, we learn more and we maybe become a little more cautious. But it's, you look at this stuff as a learning experience. But again, to answer the question, would I be advising just everybody to bail out as soon as their thing is underwater? No, not at all. I think we got to look at this individual circumstances. Can they weather the storm? What is their outlook? What do they think? That's as important as anything. I mean, they let people listen to professionals and experts, but they have to really put their own opinions together. So again, I think
I got one question for you, Jerry.
Yeah, shoot.
That will be something, a good news in a way, capital gain versus capital losses. Is that okay to take some losses on capital losses can be written against capital gains?
Yeah, that's a good point, Nav, because remember, as I mentioned early, when we were talking about the cottage that went up in value, capital gains are only half taxed. Okay, now we're on the other side of the fence. We're losing money. Okay, we don't want a capital loss. We want a normal business loss. A capital loss can only be applied to capital gains. Either current capital gains or future capital gains. A capital loss is not or cannot be applied against your normal business income. So, but if we structure it as a business loss, we can apply that loss against any other income. Now, what makes it a capital loss or what makes it a business loss? Basically, CRA would look at the intent of the transaction. And they actually gave us some good news the last election, if we recall, because they basically said any flip, people were trying to claim flip
Business income.
capital gains to avoid paying tax on half of the amount. And then they said it was full income. And I was one of the few people who goes, this is great news because we can put that through a corporation and pay 12% when we're making money. When we're losing money, it's now a business loss and we can apply it against our other income. So there's certainly some tax strategies involved when we're dealing with people that have to sell. So we certainly want to optimize the tax benefits if they're in those situations and if they execute a sale which results in a loss. So lots of tax planning around those type of scenarios.
Silver lining in every cloud, my friend. Silver lining, and the rainbow only shows up when there's a rain. Well, thank you, Jerry. Appreciate that, my friend. And now we're gonna take a final feedback from Jyoti Chaudhary. She's the lawyer. Jyoti, it's all yours, my friend.
Well, I was looking at the investors' situation in a different perspective. Normally, investors are people with money, and one would expect that they may not have overinvested and they would be in a position to carry their properties, say for a year or so. The other way of looking at it is in a year, instead of looking at it in a monthly on a monthly scale, look at it in a yearly scale. So say in a year they are going to lose maybe $12,000 to $15,000. So that is one aspect that they have to consider. The second aspect that they have to consider is if at some point of time real estate bounces back, say maybe in a year and a half, or whatever time frame, what is the appreciation that they're going to gain by? So if the appreciation, say, is $40,000 over a period of year and a half to 2 years, they're still gaining. So if they're in a position to hold on to the condo, that would be a good way to go so that the market doesn't crash.
Excellent point. Thank you. I want to thank everybody for joining tonight. Hopefully, most of you who are listening as a fellow investors, I hope you find a great value in it. If you really like this discussion panel, please let us know. We like to conduct it every meeting. I do believe having an opinion from our guests, especially these are experts, bring, in my opinion, pretty high value. All right, we're gonna move forward. I'm gonna go back to Jyoti. You'd like to share some information tonight, or you will keep it next month?
Next month will be good.
Okay. Before Jyoti goes in, I'd like to let you know that Jyoti Chaudhary is have a law degree from 3 different places, from India, from UK, and Canada. She's located in Brampton, the heart of Brampton, by the way. And you can reach her anytime, 880-8759. JC Law is the name of the company, jclawcorp.com or jclaw@gmail.com. You can contact her. She is, we have done a few deals with her, by the way. She was able to help us, guide us through a couple of very interesting deals when we were dealing with a condo corporation where there was a couple of lawsuits outstanding. And that is a money maker. We'll definitely like to speak to Jyoti about it, maybe next meeting or so. Our meetings are held every second Tuesday of the month. And we'll be definitely doing a meeting soon in person, possibly in a baby golf club or brunch. And we'll be informing you shortly. Thank you, Jyoti. Appreciate that, my friend.
Thank you for your kind words.
Well, now we're gonna move forward with what is happening in the market. So my name is Naftaj. I'm the founder of this club. I've been in business for a very long time. I'm old man, just for the fun of it. What I'm going to talk tonight is a bunch of things which are opportunity time. And some people, some of the investors in this time don't realize it, that you can make a lot more money in this time than ever before. A lot of properties will be repossessed by the banks, and banks have this new direction from Bank of Canada. That's my opinion only, and I could be wrong. Extend and pretend. Don't pull the plug on the homeowners. Why not? It's bad for the economy. Give them every possible option. Give them 40-year amortization. Give them another 20 years to keep paying the mortgages. Now, that may not be suitable for a lot of homeowners, though. People are struggling. First and foremost, nobody was expecting the interest rates going to go up, what, 9 times in a very short period of time. This inflation, which is out of control, supply chain, the war, and there are many, many other issues out there. But for all purposes, an average Canadian is suffering because of high interest rates. I understand that's one aspect of it. On the other aspect of it, if you look at the other side, it also offers tremendous amount of opportunities. People need to really, really downsize. They need to live within the means. So having said that, this is something one should be aware of it. Canadians are still spending a lot more money. They're borrowing more and more money on credit card, personal loans, just to trying to survive. And that makes it very, very, very difficult, by the way. And on the other hand, there are people are hoping everything will turn around. Not really. Bank of Canada is under pressure, and there's a possibility. Again, I just say the word possibility. I'm not going to predict. Just like any of the professionals, we have our opinions. My opinion in this situation will be that there could be another minimum 2 more increments coming soon. It may gonna dampen real estate market. It may gonna slow down. It may gonna create a lot more bankruptcies. But the way the inflation is, the way our job market is, it is unbelievable. It seems like Bank of Canada cannot do anything to control the inflation, even though it has came down, but not enough though. Now, next thing we're going to talk about is here, just slightly about, I'm going to talk about different things, and I'm going to talk about 2 different strategies tonight. Reason is this one, I put everything together at the last minute. We were preparing it, but we're preparing it for something else though. So this is what happened in Canadian real estate market. We have properties that have gone up, properties that have gone down, and some properties have appreciation. If you notice that, whether it is on the East Coast, my friend from Newfoundland, from New Brunswick, PEI, and Saskatchewan, there is some sort of a change there, which is okay. Alberta, to come to Nova Scotia, Quebec, and Manitoba are different ballgame. BC and Ontario are 2 different beasts altogether. And these are the 2 difficult markets that we have to deal with. And majority of us only look at BC and Ontario, Toronto, Vancouver, and sometimes we include Montreal in the conversation. Here is the deal. A lot of investors, I don't call them investors. I have a different name for them. I call them speculators. They don't have the fundamentals. They don't have the basics. They just got in the market to make a quick buck. These people are always invest in the stock market. They're used to losing money, making money business. Now they're getting themselves in a situation. They say, oh, we got ourselves, properties are not going up as fast as used to be. Maybe we need to take our money out and invest in somewhere else. Now, there are a couple of things Jerry Hogenhout mentioned very, very precisely. every single spoken word is so valuable. I can't even tell you unless you become a victim of it. All these investors or experts, we bring them on. They offer so much value. Sometimes, it's skipped to it. What he said was so valuable. Should we talking to capital gain or business income? And 98% of investors, speculators don't understand it. They do not have a good CPA. Hey, Canada Revenue Agency has one simple principle. You pay too much taxes, they remain quiet. You pay less, they come after you. Again, unfortunately, education, the knowledge is the key part of investing. That goes hand in hand. If you're an informed investor, you make money no matter what. If you're a speculator, you're going to file bankruptcy. That happens over years and years, for the last 50 years of my life, but I've seen it. So again, education is a key component. Knowing your taxes, having your proper team is perfect. If you have Randy Goodman in the hand, you got Ms. Chaudhary as your lawyer, then you got David Grossman, you got Jerry Haugenhout, and other people in your team. And are you getting a proper education? Is applicable in Canada? It's important for you to know. Moving forward, delinquency began to climb. Oh God. So there is something we call it how many days they are behind. 18% of delinquent accounts are more than 150. It means almost 5 months they have not made a payment. And if they are behind 120 to 140 days, not much, they are almost ready to write off. The problem with this one, the longer the delinquency period, people, they start defaulting mortgage payments, the chances are these properties going to go under, and they're going to go under power sale or foreclosure. Painful, but the truth. Moving forward, this is typically investors in Canada, by the way. Who are these people? Are they Canadian born? Are they new Canadians or immigrants? Where they are? What exactly is their income? And what kind of properties they're investing in? BC and Ontario always take the lead, so it's the East Coast, Maritimes, Nova Scotia, and New Brunswick. These 4 provinces intend to attract a lot more investors, though. But again, there is more to it than simply Canadians or foreigners. This is something interesting for you to know. And when things go rough, things happen. Life happens here. So this is majority of us as investors intend to develop the property, whether creating a basement apartment, converting into 4 units, 6 units, 8 units, or multi-units, or whether we're building a plaza. There are something one has to be very careful. That is work orders. So this is under the building code section, section 22 as amended. This was one of the biggest, tallest building in Toronto. And this has kind of a history behind. And now the city says, stop the work. Because they have to make sure they follow the rules. And again, don't ever estimate that if you're a big developer or a builder, you can rule the city. No, the city has the more power. For the safety, make sure that you are, you are complying with the laws and bylaws. So here is something we also talked about it. I was in a meeting 2 weeks ago in one of the 3 biggest law firms in Toronto. And this thing keep coming up again and again. And tonight you're going to find that I'm talking a lot about it because this is what I learned from a bunch of other experts or one of the brains of people who are into it and they are feeling it. HELOC, home equity line of credit. Now, this is something people are borrowing more and more money, and this is becoming a ticking time bomb or debt. They know that every owner right now, as we speak, whether it's you are a variable mortgage, whether it's a fixed mortgage, you're going to renew it for next 3 years or so. And everybody's going to see some sort of impact. Your mortgage rate by 1.5% or 2% may going to turn into 4%, 3.5%. And hopefully this increment of interest rate is temporarily. We all hope, we keep our finger crossed, but it is going to create an opportunity for investors for the next 4 years. There's going to be tremendous amount of distressed sales, by the way. Whether we like it or not, it's going to be there. So exactly what can we expect? Who's going to be in trouble? Is it people with variable mortgages, whether it's fixed mortgages, or so on, or who are more safe? I'm going to suggest all of you, while you're listening, I would request you, if you could, even please take picture of the slides. Now, next thing is some of these investors who have bought the condos having regret what they got themselves into it. And they were hoping something different. They were not expecting. And there are a lot of hidden charges. People don't realize it. When anytime a deal is closing, there's something apart from the occupancy permit, occupancy charges to maintenance taxes, and then there are unexpected, and there are some bad tenants though. So here is something else, which in my opinion is going to be opportunity time for next 10 years for investors. Conversion from office towers to residentials. This is going to be big time in my opinion. The structures there. Now, sometimes it's difficult to change from office to residential, or at times it can be a great time saving because structures there and the project can be done much easier and much faster. The federal government is also in this thing. They say, okay, people are still working from home and we have a housing crunch. We need to create a lot of affordable housing. So this thing has begun many years ago. It has happened in Alberta. It started happening right now all across Canada. And those who are taking the apprenticeship program with us know that how they can buy some of this building for $1 and only $1. So these opportunities are endless. Can we do it together? Can we do it alone? The answer is absolutely. I'm going to be talking a little bit more about it and I'll tell you exactly how it can be done as well. This is something I like to share with you. This is something very inspirational. Some of you might know this gentleman named by Grave Dancer, Zell, Angel Sam Zell, billionaire real estate. He died. He had a property worth about $4 trillion. Equity Corp Group. This is him, by the way. He's the gentleman who went in, and he's more or less started everything from Chicago. He's one of those gentlemen who inspire us from time to time. We look at these guys like Sam Zell. Hey, what's that up to? What exactly is he doing? And it's kind of funny when things are rough, tough, whatever. This guy have done is absolutely incredible. People, anything he touches, everything he did touch, and for all purposes, he was a kind of a inspirational friend. And I'm gonna say, hey, rest in peace, my friend. And he gave a lot of inspiration for those who are in business of real estate. So if you are up for renewing your mortgage, you know that you're going to be paying a lot more. 1/3 of mortgage you have seen already increment. Talk to David. Make sure that you are looking at as many options as you can. Is one of the options to extend the amortization? Is there any other option? Would you like to dissolve your RSP? Would you like to add some income? Now, one of the best thing we suggest that if you are a homeowner and you're having a difficult time, hey, can you convert part of your house into another unit or two? So that not only you can make up the higher payment, but you can also have extra positive cash flow. So again, by coming to meetings, getting proper further education, you're gonna find that you become a solution-oriented person. We solve problems. That's where we become extremely wealthy. The moment you start looking at a problem and you look as a problem solver, that you welcome all these problems, by the way. This is something, again, there are people that are forced to sell. This is something we look at it. And whenever we are looking into properties as we speak in this market, we are not looking at buying them at fair market value. We are looking at forced market value, forced sale market value. I'm going to give you a little bit more information about what exactly, how do you determine forced market value, FMV. It's extremely important to understand that. And next thing we're going to talk about it, this is a good thing that the Toronto have said, okay, you can convert single family home to 4 units. That's the excellent news. Now, something a little bit off the topic, by the way, this is a place it's called Baltava Country Club. It's established in 1946. It was more or less, I believe, established for the Ukrainian people to live together, to have something together, and they have something on the in their title that the only person who can buy have to be Ukrainian. Again, it intend to go against the human rights. Again, this thing could become a little bit of a controversial thing, but I don't feel that anybody have an intention to do so. I do believe this thing gonna go into the courts. Again, the code, human code mandate, more or less respect the fact that you cannot choose the people based upon the race, creed, ancestry. But I do believe when they built it and they were doing these cottages, their intention was to maybe language barrier or to stay the community together. I think that's the opinion of it. But again, this came out of the news, but this is not something which I do believe is going to change. So this is another aspect of Toronto. Most of people should look into that very carefully. This is a rare opportunity. In Portland's, in the flood protection plan, we are spending a lot of money and going to create about 590 acres of prime landed development. This is going to be a tremendous, tremendous amount of infrastructure changes in the city of Toronto. Those who are not familiar with it, they're building the artificial river going through this to make sure that water got drained properly. It's going to be something to look at it. Those who are interested down the road to invest in Toronto, they should look definitely into these projects. This is going to be something brilliant, in my opinion. This is important for Canadians. I've been asked many times over this last few meetings, how come I didn't share this data? Most of you are not aware how many benefits are available for you. So please go to canada.ca/for rent/for services/benefits/finder.html. Please take a picture of this one and make sure you check it out. Are you getting all the benefits being a Canadian taxpayer? There are a lot more goes into it. A lot of people are not aware of it. In my opinion, it's something well worth spending a couple of minutes and sharing with your friends, and they will thank you for the rest of your life. Uh, some of the developers are feeling the heat. They're offering cash back now. They are offering incentive for 2 or 3 years. This is going to become pretty common because the developers will share their profit to make sure to unload their inventory in time. I do believe that this is going to be changed. I'm going to share something totally dramatic with you where the builders and land developers are looking into it is, listen, when we do all the heavy lifting, we build it, take 3 to 5 years, and speculators come in and they make more money than us. What's the solution? Instead of selling pre-construction, they come up with something new. I'm going to be sharing with you in a moment or two. So this is, again, a big challenge. A lot of Canadians who bought the condo 3-4 years ago is now getting ready. Appraisals are coming a lot less. What do? You have 30%, 40% down. Now they expect you to have more money and plus negative cash flow. This is putting a lot of people into a situation though. This is something about Canada. We all talked about it. There's going to be about 1.5 million new people coming in pretty shortly. This is a good news in one way because we need about 1 million more working people, tradespeople. There's a huge shortage of it. It's not only in Canada. The shortage is almost everywhere. And thank God to some of the countries where they have this ready available people available, willing to come and come and help actually more than anything else. Of course, they're coming for a better life. At the same time, moving from one country to another country is always. This is something people will take advantage who are fully informed, well educated. During this turbulence time, this is the perfect time for, instead of creating chaos and confusion, this is a time to grow. This is a time to remain focused and you take a deliberate action. You know exactly what you're doing. You are doing every stress test. And this is the perfect time to make a lot more money and grow your business 10 to 100 times. One of the times you like to, or you can multiply it. This is something we are finding that people are living in, we call sandwich families, 3 generations living in the one house together now. Parents, grandparents, and grandkids. And everybody wants to get out. Everybody wants to be their own. Can they really afford it? And the demand, supply, affordability, all these factors do matter. Now, renters are growing super fast. And renters are facing all kinds of challenges, especially when it comes to renting a new place. And now they are coming up with new laws that an eviction may be illegal, or if you renovate it, the tenant will come back. And there are some fines already, but they are definitely making some changes on a provincial level as we speak though. Those who are interested in what's happening, or those who really want to learn, we have eyewitness training this Thursday morning, sorry. On Saturday, if you want to learn about how to buy discounted properties, our apprenticeship is continuous as we speak. We had a power steel training, I think it was last Saturday, sorry, and some of you might have missed. It may not be, we may not going to be doing another free training for a while, maybe for the next 6 months or September, October, maybe October or so. But for the time being, in case you want to attend any of those things, you can text us and learn more about it. Again, this is the headlines you're going to see from time to time. The bank is warning there'll be a lot more delinquency. They're going to be going up and up. For us, we look at it, we can help fellow Canadians, and also this is opportunities for you. Now, this is the time where we're going to find owner financing is going to play a key role. Those who will be well-informed, well-educated, will come up with the creative ideas. And no matter what, when the interest rate of 22%, owner financing was very common. And owner financing gonna come back again and make sure you learn it from the right source. Canada, land of empty houses, solution. Zoning is the only way. There are a lot of Canadians living in a big, huge house, only one person, not even one person. If you see all the mansions, we have a joke. Who live in the houses? Families, young kids. And who live in the mansions? Dog, cats, and what else? The maids. Dogs, cats, and maids live in the mansions. They're humongous. It's like a big, huge thing. Who lives in the mansion? Not even a person. He's never in there, he or she. Very rarely you'll see the mansion of families growing up, or maybe one kid or two kids. But again, this is empty houses. These are a bunch of tallest building coming to Toronto. By the way, just thought I should share with you. They're gonna be competing 105 stories, 94 stories, and so on. And I'm sure pretty soon we are going to hit the Sky Tower, which will be about 345 meters. Could be almost as tall as CN Tower. Ontario, this is something on a political level, by the way. They are saying, hey, we have million house ready to go, but developer put the shovels in the ground. But if you talk to the developers or builders, they say, oh, we are having a lot of resistance from the city. The levies, the development charges are going to become a challenge. Again, this is something on a political level. From time to time, you're going to say, a lot of houses can be built. We need some green belt. Or we don't have enough information handy. We don't have enough money for the cities. The infrastructure is not there. We definitely have some challenges. But again, these challenges can be taken over eventually when all 3 level or 4 level of government start working together, whether it's a crown corporations, whether it's a federal, provincial, municipal, and also regional government can play a really good role altogether to solve this problem. Before you invest anywhere in Canada, in real estate, especially in Ontario, please check with Ontario Security Commission. Check before you invest.ca. It's an excellent website, especially when you're investing in REIT, investing in a general partnership. Please check who are you dealing with. So again, where to buy the real estate, where not to buy again, Vancouver, Victoria, Greater Toronto area, again, 4 markets come again. And by the way, Water Lakes, Chilliwack, they're pretty good markets to buy, by the way. You can afford, Vancouver, Toronto, Calgary, Montreal, Halifax. Hey, look into other communities. There's still people live there. There's a good information there. So what exactly are we converting into housing, by the way? We are basically taking anything and everything in Toronto, turning into housing. Schools, churches, jails, you name it. And this is something I like to share with you. This breaks my heart. I love history. I love churches. I don't like them. That's my personal opinion. But this is, again, a piece of property, a beautiful church turned into 24 lofts. Anything can be converted into a house. This is a James Bay, by the way, a floating in the river or in the lake. Now, this is in Victoria, by the way. It's a beautiful place to go to, by the way. Again, you see what people are doing to create housing. This is a cottage close to Lake Simcoe. This is the northern part of Lake Simcoe. The town is called Tiny. Beautiful place to go to, by the way. We bought and sold many properties down there. Again, look at the workmanship. Next thing I'd like to show you, former church. This is in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and they have turned it into a beautiful house, by the way. This is again in Hamilton. Our friend Harry Stinson have built it into called a condo, by the way, and it is known as, I believe, Stinson School. It's on 213 to 20 Stinson Street, by the way. They named after him. This gentleman is a builder, developer, known for many years though. This is office tower turning into condos. This is in Calgary. and Southwest. This is called Cube, and there are 330 units are converted. The reason I want to show you is just to give it an idea that we have to become super creative to turn into even the shopping center are turning into residential units as well. And they just want to kind of have create a hybrid model where it could be a shopping center, office tower, as residential within itself, where people don't have to drive that far. This is sad but truth. This is a bandit solution for those who are not aware that majority of the Canadians are extending the mortgage and they may have to pay extra couple $100,000. It's not a quick solution for the increment, but sad but truth. Settling the mortgage payment, I'm gonna skip this one for the time being. Most affordable cities in Canada, or Ontario, sorry, Wasaga Beach is number one, by the way. Average household income is only $90,000. And if you look at the price, it's 325. When you go to Nepean, it's almost 700,000. Castleman, Ottawa. If you look at the figures, this will more or less tell you exactly, hey, you don't have to live in Toronto or Vancouver or Montreal. There are other options available where you can look at people's average income. In Toronto, you need $250,000 income. It will take about 25 years to save your down payment. It's kind of crazy, but okay, other options are available. Wasaga Beach is a beautiful place to go to. This is something when it comes to affordability. This is what's happening in Toronto area, by the way. What is average house price are. And most of you will be shocked to know that Etobicoke South is the most expensive area in GTA. Average house price 1.7 million. You look at the Brampton is 1 million, Mississauga 1 million, Scarborough 650,000. You look at Markham 1.2 million, and if you look at Hamilton, about $830,000. Here is something which some of you might be interested to learn. Woodbine Mall, which is located at Rexdale at Highway 27, in front of the Woodbine Casino, Woodbine Horse Track. It's owned by a gentleman named by Chris Hin. He bought this piece of property about 80 years ago for 100 million bucks. Now he owes about 330 million. This piece of property is going through one of the most difficult, painful sale. And this may gonna happen on June 22nd. This is a little bit complicated, but at the same time, this is about 50 acres of land, about 750,000 square feet of shopping center, 3,500 parking spots. You can build about 7,000 or 8,000 condos there. The land has humongous value, but this thing gonna happen, I believe, by June 22nd. It's in the courts. We're waiting for the court approval for the sale. And this is the most complicated real estate deals. You want to learn more about it, you want to be part of it. Superstars, which are our coaching students, have done this type of deal. They know what does it take, what are the challenges are. This is for sophisticated investors, by the way. I just thought I should share with you if you want to look more into it. Most of the investors, they look at it, I don't understand a word of it. I don't know what is going on. But again, as you grow older, as you get more and more investment, you'll come across a lot more sophisticated deals. So if you want to turn into office tower, into residential towers, there's a programs available where it can be funding is available for you. Again, we all start from single family home or condos as investors. Then we develop into multi-units and multi-unit to construction and so on. But this will be the most new innovative way of creating real estate, which can be extremely profitable, and you can have all kind of versus subsidy program available for you. Could be forgivable grants available for you through CMHC, through city or provincial or nonprofit. One should not deny that especially if you are at a certain level. If you're new, this might be a little too much for you. But if you're in the business for a long time, this could be for you. Something about free look clause. This is something very important for investors to know. Can you have free look clause in your agreement? Yes, you can. It's something to do your due diligence. This is the new trend going to happen, by the way. What is the new trend? Anybody know what new trend is going to be? The new trend is going to be the developers and builders are becoming very smart. And they're saying, we don't want to share the profit anymore. We're going to be doing post-construction. You'll be able to buy these condos or houses and you can move in next 30 days. It will not, you don't have to wait 3 years. They realize it that those speculators, investors have made more money than the builders who put their neck, all the money on everything else and take them 3 to 4 years to complete a project. But things may gonna change as you go along. And again, people are getting more and more aware of what is happening in the market. Some of the stuff you might want to know exactly how the property taxes or land transfer taxes are done in Canada. If you're buying a piece of property in Toronto, what are the obligations towards, property taxes? If you're a first-time home buyer in Toronto on $1 million property, you may gonna pay $29,000. If you're buying a second time, it'll be $38,000. If you look at the same thing in Alberta, you might be looking at a couple $100 only. So Toronto is kind of a big expense, upfront cost to get into market, by the way. This is some good news from St. Catherine. St. Catherine City is saying, hey, listen, if you can have 2 additional parking spots, you can put 2 basement units. You can have a garden suite. And they have given new instructions, which can be extremely beneficial. I believe St. Catherine is going to be taking the leading role, and investors should definitely make a note of it, that St. Catherine could be an excellent news for investors if we can relate to it. 645 square feet is the maximum law bill for garden suites. And if you have parking space, you can turn every piece of property, buying it, and turn it into a humongous positive money-making machine because the demand is there. This is painful, but the truth. A couple of these developers, but they don't do well. This is going into receivership, by the way. Some of you might be aware of the mini towers, Mao towers. Again, this is KS. This is going through a restructuring, by the way. The State View homes are the one who are in the big news about some sort of fraud. Not sure exactly. In case you have bought any piece of property, they have a couple hundred properties, which will be questionable. If you happen to be, have you bought the property or you know somebody, let them know this deal is going sideways. Just thought I should be sure. More and more Toronto offices are getting emptied, by the way. And about 20% offices in Toronto are sitting vacant. And there's a big pressure from the city as well from the owners. Even Brookfield have missed few payments in US. By the way, that's one of the largest commercial property owners in US, though. Top Toronto neighborhoods where the biggest gain are those areas where people thought, the cheapest property have the highest return, by the way. The fact speaks much louder. The cheapest property in Toronto area have the highest appreciation compared to the most expensive areas. You look at Birch Cliffside, property went from 320 to 670, 110%. These are the condos, by the way. If you look at Single-family homes, again, Scarborough Village from 936. Look at the appreciation in last 5 years. Again, all this information can be helpful for you to decide your next investment property. This is in BC. Those who are here tonight from BC, it's good news that you can build 4 homes in a traditional single-family lot all across BC. And I'm sure this is going to become common all across Ontario as well as BC and maybe some other provinces because of the shorthand. Because I do believe that Toronto and Vancouver have the same problem, not enough land. One side is lake, other side is green belt. For them, it's the mountains and the ocean. Why you should be investing in GTA? Since 1969 till now, average growth rate is 7% compounded. Look at all the bubbles we have gone through. We are not talking about 10 years. We're not talking about 20 years. Now we're talking about the last 52 years or 54 years, as a matter of fact. Or in this scenario, it'll be 52 years. If consistently the real estate have done so well, there's no other investment, to the best of my knowledge, which will grow compounded. Please take a picture if you want to keep it as a motivational thing for you. It's all fact-based. So interest rates, if you want to look at it from 1992, where we are and where we have gone through 2008 onward when the US go through kaput. And again, if we look at it, the average rate is much, much lower compared to what we are paying now. I'm going to wrap up quickly. Forced home sales are coming very rapidly. These are the properties where people have to sell. They don't have a choice. And these people want to take a little cut in the price, or sometimes they're in a situation where they have to sell 30, 40% below its market now. Again, if you are looking into buying some post market value, there is tons of money available for you. This money is sitting in the private funds, and those who are interested to learn more about where these funds are available, you take more education, will be more than happy to share with you. Investors are highest everywhere, by the way. People think there's not enough investors in Manitoba. I'm sorry, Stat Canada says otherwise. BC is the leading hand. Second is Manitoba. Ontario is third. It might be a shock for a lot of people. Do people live in Manitoba? Yes. Manitoba has more than one big city? Yes. Manitoba is not only Winnipeg, my friends. A lot more goes in there. Should your credit score should not be less than 740 or 741, by the way. Those who are not aware of it, you might be not getting what you need to have. So those who have any interest, getting to learn more about forgivable community real estate grant, business grants, real estate grants, credit, we have a package. We might have 1 or 2 sets tonight. If anybody interested in buying it, just text us. We'll give it away at $4.99 only tonight, and we will move forward. We are home junkies, by the way. We buy real estate anytime we can buy. We buy mostly neglected properties from distressed owners who are facing some financial situation. We are able to close some of the deals very fast, very quickly. So for true success, 4 questions. Why? Why not? Why not me? Why not now? 4 questions going to make you exceptionally successful, no matter what the market is saying, by the way. Our apprenticeship continues. Those who are interested in apprenticeship, just give us a call. We'll be happy to send you more information on it. We have training coming this Saturday from 9:45 a.m. to 12:30, again Saturday morning on 17. This is how to find super distressed properties. Clippingforprofit.ca. Make sure you get your ticket quickly before we go. This is our training this Thursday. a field trading about distressed properties, distressed real estate auctions. Those who are interested in it, please text us. None of these events are free. Every event we do all paid because there are super high values. Be aware of super priority lien. Those who are aware of it will teach you exactly what these liens are. I want to say thank you to everybody. I know it's 9 o'clock. I'm supposed to finish it. And if anybody have any question, we'll be more than happy to answer for you. I sincerely want to thank everybody, especially from the East Coast to West Coast. I want to sincerely thank you for those people from Newfoundland to Halifax. I know the time difference there, and also from the West Coast, where we have 3-hour difference though. In Canada, we have 5 different time zones. Thank you very much, everybody. If you got a question, please put in the Q&A. We'll be more than happy to answer it for you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Ms. Chaudhary. She's our lawyer, real estate lawyer. If anybody has any questions, please speak to Jyoti. She's here. Jerry is still here. Jerry Hogan out. Any questions you have towards taxes? Thank you, Nancy. Oh, and Nancy Parson from Newfoundland. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate you being here tonight. Thank you, Vladimir, sir. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, my friend. Anybody have any questions tonight? We also want to invite Wes. Good to see you, my friend. Samuel. We also have thank you for Frank, sir. Appreciate it, my friend. Thank you for being here tonight. Anybody else have any questions? No? Thank you, Teresa. Thank you so much for you being here tonight. And we're gonna wrap up tonight here. Oh, is there any questions? People have some questions. Chat. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you, David. Yeah, you'd like to extend and pretend. Yeah, that's the approach. We do that. All right. Thank you, everybody, and good night.